on Thursday, January 30th, 2003 at 7:50 a.m. Central Time.
Weather office is here.
OSF Action Center.
Yes, we're on. Thank you.
Alex McCool.
We're here.
Colonel Jim Halsell.
We're here.
LCC.
LCC's here.
EMSR.
We're on.
Mike Key.
Mike Key's here.
John Cowart. We have John Cowart online. I am showing that line connected. We will check that line. Mike Fuller.
Loud and clear.
Scott Southwell, we are still receiving his voicemails. Jack Keifenheim.
Here.
Chris Hasselbring.
Loud and clear.
Joe DiAgostino.
Dryden's on.
Thank you. And Linda Ham.
We're here.
Thank you. I'd just like to inform all parties that today's call is being recorded at the request of NASA. Thank you, ma'am. You may begin.
All right. Good morning and welcome to the last 107 MMT. We'll go through the normal standard briefing, then we'll do the weather and entry briefing. Let's see, Phil, how are we doing?
All right. Again, the crew's still doing well on the timeline. I think we're keeping up with all the science, which Vanessa will go back and recap shortly. The last couple of things we were working before, the end of mission ADL for the thermal, for the tires and water and everything, up to end of mission, we've got that all squared away. Everybody's happy. We get the couple of plus XVV sessions scheduled in there to get everybody happy with thermal. We've scheduled the minimum HAB water cleanup IFM with the vacuum cleaner as you requested. I think that's about noon today, local time or so.
Right, and really what they're going to do, right, is just inspect, and if there's nothing, they're done. If there's something, they vacuum?
I think they were going to go ahead and stick the vacuum cleaner down there to one of the holes and try to draw anything out that they might not be able to see directly.
Okay.
But
are they
we're
going to
not taking any covers other than getting under the floor. We're not taking the cover off
Okay.
the WSA.
All righty. I believe the cabin fans are back there by that box, so good look under the floor. It'd be good to make sure there's no water anywhere
The crew
else.
has been doing periodic inspections back there and hasn't seen any accumulation
Under
of water.
the floor?
Yes.
All right. Okay, good.
Couple of things. I guess the prop margins have pretty much held steady with about what we were reporting before, about 500 in the forward, about 900 pounds in the aft. Cryo margins are running about 2 days, 13 hours at nominal mission usage, or 2 days, 23 for wave-off days in Group C.
Okay.
They're working the post-wave-off ADL still to try to make sure that we balance water and thermal and cabin temperatures and all of that sort of thing. There's a meeting at 3 o'clock this afternoon in the MER to hash out some details on that.
All righty. So we got through Wednesday for sure. In the mission plus 4.
Right.
Right.
I think it's just a question of balancing how many attempts you got or whether we can make enough water to add another attempt to Leroy's list, but he'll go through all of that part. And like I said, I think balancing cabin temperatures against that sort of thing. End mission down weight, just to give you an update since I know you want to talk about the waiver here. Our best estimate right now is 234,011.
That waiver signed. I signed it yesterday.
Okay, then I guess we're done.
Up to the limits that everyone evaluated.
All right.
We're done.
And I think that's all.
Number again?
234,011. We're barely over 234. We're probably not smart enough to be that accurate. 11 pounds is.
So that's even more heavy.
Right. Yeah, we came out slightly heavier. Again, this goes back to the as we started turning off more and more rotating equipment, I think the cryo margin's kind of increased, and you've seen us go up now here to 2
Okay.
13 hours.
Okay, so what we'll have to do is get systems integration to look at the cargo integration piece, because they went to 233.7 and no 234.
They went
so
to
they
234.
It is just 11 pounds over, but we just need the nozzle guys, but they'd already said.
Well, the nozzle guys we don't need to worry about because it's
yeah.
just a post-mission inspection thing, and we're going to get what we get.
Yeah. Exactly. But the cargo integration piece was that's just 11 pounds over that.
Yeah, the
Right.
orbiter guys went to 234.8. So
Yes,
Right.
everyone else went. So, Don, are you on?
This is Dave, and we got the action.
Yeah, but you're probably okay with 11 pounds over what you already looked at.
I'm assuming you are, but I need to ask the question.
Let's just turn something on. I'm serious.
Well, you know, that's one of the answers to the water thing of making more opportunities is if you get 19 or 20 or 23 hours of cryo above the +2,
Right.
then there's 19 hours of cryo you can turn into water to make more landing opportunities or less weight or whatever you want to do. See if we can get rid of 11 pounds.
Okay.
That's all I got except for Leroy's stuff.
All right. Okay, Murr.
Yeah, Linda, early in the mission, we had the problem with ICOM B, and we had the crew go back and check that again, and apparently it worked fine. So apparently that was a configuration problem, we think, earlier. Like Phil mentioned, our guys are working with the MOD guys, working for the end of mission attitudes, extension day attitudes for water production and main landing gear tires. So other than that, you know, orbiter's in great shape. We're not working anything else.
Good. Vanessa.
Okay, Linda, for the Space Hab subsystems, they are tracking the water pump package has been showing a little bit more degradation as we've been going along here. What they are looking at now is the flow rate for the pump. Nominal, it should be at 500 pounds per hour, and currently it's at 390. But the delta P has been degrading a little more faster than what we predicted or said on Monday. So what they're going to do is keep monitoring the flow rate. There's a flight rule currently on the books that says if we go below 140, that we consider the system failed. However, the Space Hub guys are reporting that the transducer on that system is biased by about 60 pounds, so that if it's 140, what it's showing is actually at 200. So we're going to put a chit into the system to identify that we do have an error.
More than one flow meter? Or is there only one? There's two, and they're both...
Halo heat exchanger
Okay.
flow and total flow. So if you...
Are they both biased? Just the total flow is biased. Okay. So you probably know what you have based on the other one, too. Okay. Right.
What was the answer to that?
There are two. One is total flow, and one is
Payload heat exchanger.
payload heat exchanger, and only one is biased, the total flow.
But the flow that we're looking at, per the flight rule, and also what they're looking at is the total flow.
Right, but they'll still have a good handle on how much flow they're really getting because they do have another deucer, and they also think that this one's biased since pre-launch.
Right, and the
The
flight
flow
rule,
meter.
and the flight rule is also written for a higher heat load than what we're actually running at in the module. So we'll just put a chit into the system to explain the instrumentation error and also to look at the heat load in terms of declaring that system to be failed.
Okay, so we think the limit will be lower than 140 pounds per hour
Right.
before we declare it failed, and Space Hab is going to document it through the CSR and a chit to the MOD folks.
Okay.
That we can update the rule or whatever we need to do. All right. You said nominal flow is 500 pounds an hour. This flow is 390?
It's at 390.
Okay, and the loop one that we switched the other day, the one that was degraded, is at 320.
Right.
Okay, so they're both degraded.
Right. So right now, you know, we have 3 days to go. I think we're going to be good, but we'll make sure we'll stay on top of it and make sure the rest of the team is aware of what's going
Right,
on there.
and keep me appraised. If we get to the point where we switch back to the other loop, then we ought to talk about how many days we want to keep extending. Do lose a bunch of science if we lose both water loops? Is that right, Vanessa?
Yes. The BDS, and everybody knows, has been doing great science, and EOR for all of the samples that we've collected back there. So we want to make sure that, you know, we keep the system viable so we can get the samples back on. Other things with regards to the payloads themselves, they're all still operating nominally. CM2 on its activation day had some problems with the initial setup. IFMs were run yesterday, and the runs have been successful since then. They're catching up on their runs. One of the actual samples is an atomizer itself. They do not think they'll be able to run that sample again. That was the one that they had problems with on the initial setup. But, however, they are getting very good science. And Freestar has captured dust over the Atlantic, and they're very pleased with that. So all in all, payload is still doing very well. To come home safely. Thanks.
Okay. Bob.
No issues, Linda.
Okay. Sam?
Crew's healthy, and we're not working any issues.
Integration?
Yeah, we're working a few things. One of the things that we're working, Space Hab's inverter, due to the moisture content, they're just looking, and again, they're just looking, prepared in case we get a case, because of the moisture, to pull some breakers as a backup plan. Right now, everything's okay and nominal, but they're just working some contingency issues. That's it.
That one, yes.
And we'll go back and take a look at the downweight.
Okay. Anything else? Dave?
I can't get the thing to work. Yeah, nothing else.
Lauren?
Nothing else from us.
Shuttle processing?
Nothing to report, thank you.
Launch integration?
Nothing from here, Linda.
Marshall projects?
Nothing today.
Safety?
Nothing.
Okay, I have one. I did get email from Jill Lynn talking about getting the cameras out on the runway and plan to get them shipped to JSC. And she had asked, FCOD has asked whether we want to hold the SDA and try to get the cameras on the SDA to get them back here. And I did talk to the people out at Ellington about that, and we would like them to hold the SDA and get the cameras on. We think we can meet your 3 o'clock wheels up time, Bob, and that's a crew length of day issue. So we think we can get you the camera if we land on the first rev in time to get that back here at JSC. I think Building 44's got some kind of power outage on Sunday, so once they get, or Saturday, once they get back open on Sunday, we'll get the film developed into Marshall by Monday. I think there's also some film that ends up getting developed at the Cape, but the plan looks like it's coming together to get Marshall those views. So, Bob, we appreciate your support from FCOD.
And Linda, this is Bob Page. We would also like to get the crew handheld film on the STA, and that means getting it out of the bag of film. So I hope the crew put it in a separate bag, like it's supposed to happen, but sometimes it doesn't.
That's standard ops? Because we have not asked them any special procedure.
It's standard ops that they're supposed to put that film from the ET in its own bag and then put that in the bag with the rest of the film, so it's easy to find, so we can process it first. And crew here on the ground would like to pull it out of that bag and get it on the STA with the rest of with that camera.
Linda, normally all the film ends up in a bag on the mid-deck for getting it off easy. It's just a matter of looking in that bag for that film. And it should be labeled.
The crew to do anything special, because it'll be in that bag and it should be labeled.
Don't come off the orbiter on the runway, and the guys just process.
So it actually gets developed at the Cape, that piece?
No.
Oh. Okay. And we're hearing from Marcia that it does come off on the runway, Bob. You probably know that, and you guys just need to make sure you get your hands on it.
That's correct.
Okay. Anything else today? Okay, let's go on with weather and entry brief.
Good morning. Currently, if you look at the video, we see a low-pressure system up there over Georgia with a front trailing across New Orleans. That low will be moving off to the northeast and dragging that front across the Florida Panhandle today. By tomorrow, that front will be dissipating somewhere over Florida, with the high pressure that's now over Texas will be building eastward, bringing drier air and light winds into Florida for Saturday's landing opportunities. So with that, we can start with the landing opportunities for Saturday. You can see it's pretty much a ridge of high pressure over Florida, with really no frontal systems anywhere in the vicinity, just the one down over the Bahamas and the one up in the Tennessee Valley. So with that, let's look at the forecast for Saturday's landing opportunities.
You're not thinking about any fog for Saturday?
Well, it may be a good time to discuss the fog situation since I know we've had some questions about it. You'll notice I did not put fog in the forecast for Saturday for two reasons. Number one, with the drier air pushing into Florida, and then I'm expecting the winds aloft to be between 8 and 12 knots in the lower 1,000 feet, and that should provide enough turbulent mixing to preclude the development of fog. However, the downside of that would be if the winds are lighter than what I'm expecting in the lower 1,000 feet, and they're, let's say, less than 10 knots, and fog should form, then the good side of that is we'll see it form before we have to make a deorbit decision, because we're deorbiting. Our landing time is like 2 hours after sunrise, and so we'd be deorbiting, well after the fog would form. So we'd see it. There's no way the fog is going to form after we deorbit. So the only bad part to that would be if it did form, we might have to wait another opportunity because the flight rule says you have to be observed at the same time. But I'm not expecting that because of the winds and the dry air. I'm really not expecting that. And even if it did form, it would burn off by landing time, since we've got 2 hours of sunrise of heating, before our touchdown for that first opportunity. So therefore, I didn't really mention fog. So go ahead, question. Okay, so it looks for the first opportunity on Saturday at KSC, just a few clouds at 3,500 feet and scattered clouds at 25,000. Winds from 300 degrees at 6, peaking to 9 knots. And the second opportunity is about the same, maybe a slight increase in wind, but really no significant difference. Both Edwards and White Sands have acceptable weather for Saturday. Any questions for Saturday?
No questions.
Okay, for Sunday, in the event of a wave off, the change there at KSC would be that the winds coming around to the northeast may bring some of the low clouds offshore close to the landing facility. So for that, we put in a slight chance of broken clouds at 3,500 feet. Winds out of the northeast at 7, peaking to 10 knots. Out at Edwards, we may start to get some Santa Ana wind conditions out there. So we've got northeast 30 degrees at 13 knots, peaking to 23. No wind violations at Edwards. White Sands is going to be getting a lot of wind out there, particularly during the afternoon hours. So we've got crosswind and headwind violations out there with chances of 4 miles and blowing dust. Visibility is reduced out there due to the strong winds. So we've got 220 at 18, peaking to 30 at White Sands. So that's the situation for Sunday in the event of a wave off. Any questions?
No questions.
Okay, so for Monday, EOM plus 2. The only difference there going from Sunday to Monday at the Cape would be mainly the wind swinging around from northeast to southeast. And generally, that's a little bit more favorable for not having ceiling violations. So we didn't put any violations for Monday's forecast in there. Just scattered low clouds, broken high clouds, and southeast winds at 7, peaking to 10 knots. Pretty close to the runway configuration there. Edwards and White Sands both look good for Monday. With winds at Edwards about 10 to 18 knots out of the northeast, and clear skies at White Sands with light northwesterly winds. So the bottom line is things look real good for Saturday, and in the event of a wave off, still looking pretty good for both wave off days at both KSC and Edwards.
Okay, any questions for weather? All right, Leroy?
Okay, good morning. You should have the deorbit entry planning briefing, 2 charts. I'm not going to tell you much, Linda, that you don't already know. We have plenty of consumables and plenty of deorbit opportunities on all the out days. Just to go over it briefly, we do have through EOM plus 4, which is a landing on Wednesday, and LIO is the limiting consumable there. As far as propellant, we have plenty of propellant to support 2 opportunities on each one of those days. I made a note we can probably get 3 opportunities on 1 or more of those days is what it looks like, but we don't have enough yet to get another day. I anticipate that might even change. supply water is the same story as we usually have. We have 6 to 7 opportunities for the first 3 days, and then it'll just depend on how early we wave off on those first few days. Those first opportunities is how we manage the water, and we'll do that as we normally do. Cryo is the same story as prop, and I already mentioned the LIO. As far as the trajectory, we do have 2 opportunities to both sites on end of mission day. Same thing on UM +1. The first day there is overlap, but it's not going to come into play.
Do you have it for the first drive even if we're willing to land at dark in the Edwards?
Yes, but I'm not considering that for this purposes. Yeah, right. The comment was just that Edwards really does have an overlap opportunity the first day, but it's dark, and obviously we wouldn't even consider that, so I didn't put it on here. As far as the daylight opportunities go, for KSC we do have 2 opportunities every day, except the last day. On EOM +4 we just have 1. Edwards we have 2 daylight opportunities the first 2 days, and then 1 the remaining days. And Northrop.
And these are just lit.
That's right.
22111
right.
For Edwards is just lit. We
just
got some
the daylight.
more if you count the dark ones.
Exactly. On the Edwards discussion, of course, we're not planning to activate for end of mission. Our recommendation is that we shouldn't need it through EOM +2. And so if we happen to still be on orbit after the weekend, after an end of mission +2 wave off, we could have a discussion as we look at the weather and determine whether or not we want to bring it up.
I agree. Unless something happens with the space hab and the water loops that we don't need to activate Edwards through Monday inclusive, and then Tuesday would be pretty much pick 'em day.
Correct.
Unless we gain another. And Tuesday we'd call it, right?
Yes. And I think from propellant and cryo, there's a good chance that we could manage it such that we get to that point. We could actually get another day, but the LIO would be where we'd have to get creative.
Right, we don't need it.
And we certainly don't need it. The APU plan is our standard plan. On the second page, there are some details of the deorbit opportunities, in particular for the first couple of days. I just put the KSC opportunities on here. The timeline summary has the summary for today, tomorrow on end of mission -1, as far as when the crew gets up and where we come in. I'll come on with the entry team at 1:30 in the morning, and then we'll get into our standard preparation for L-1 day, do an STS checkout, etc. We come in the same time on Saturday morning with the first weather briefing just being just a little after 3 o'clock. TIG for the KSC opportunity on Saturday, the first opportunity is 7:18 with a landing at 8:16. Those are central times. And then I have the times on there for the backup opportunities. So you already heard the weather story, and it sounds very good. And we obviously have plenty of consumables and plenty of opportunities, so we're not working any issues.
All right, any questions for Leroy? All right, so the plan is to just use KSC for Saturday, and hopefully we get landed and we don't even need to think about Sunday or Monday. But, all right, any other discussion for today? Thank you.